Hi guys, welcome back to Planet Mithril. My name is Mithril and I am back with another one of my updates for my GT armies. You guys may remember I put out a video a couple of weeks ago where I was asking for your feedback on, I think it was 4 or 5 different ideas I had for a good army and an evil army at the 700 points level to take to the upcoming Middle-earth Grand Tournament up in Nottingham. Now, if you remember, the choices were between Arnor and Angmar. We had the Assault on Ravenhill, so Gundabad and Thorin's company / elf/hobbit. We had an Assault on Helm's Deep, and then there was also the third age attack on the dwarves from the Easterlings, so Erebor and Amda and the Easterlings. And I'm delighted to say that the winner of this choice and the armies I will be taking to the Grand Tournament 2026 are going to be Dwarves and Easterlings. I'm only kidding, James. No, I am taking my Arnor and Angmar lists to the GT this month. This was mainly down to the fact that I've already got pretty much all the models. A vast majority of them are already painted, which really helps when you're a parent to a 2-year-old and don't necessarily have all the free time in the world to get armies done. And yeah, I really love the idea of taking a fully armoured cohort of Arnor, which I don't think I've seen at a GT event before. So it'd be nice to see that. I'm painting mine up in the standard silver and green, which I think is really, really striking personally. And then the Angmar just fits really thematically with them. My ball's going to be based around like the falling of the Kingdom of Arnor, the last kind of vestiges and defence of the Kingdom of Arnor against the host of the Witch King. So that is my plan for GT this year. I'm going to go through a little bit now as to what I think is going to work, what I think is not going to work, what the strengths of the armies are, what the special rules are, and just kind of get a bit of hype for finishing these armies off in time for the end of March. So just a reminder of how the lists work out. My Arnor one comes in at 699 points, is 43 models, and has a total of 6 might across it. So Arvidui taking the majority of the might, 3 there, Malbeth only getting 1, and Argadir with 2, as he's basically just a captain. A little bit of a shame, because he's such a cool model. We have Arvidui, last king of Arnor, 1 banner bearer with 16 spearmen of Arnor, Malbeth again with a banner bearer and 10 more warriors of Arnor, and then Argadir with 12 knights of Arnor for those epic cavalry charges. Now this army is actually all done. I finished it all up. It's all in there on the display board as I kind of get ready to work on that. I'm cautiously optimistic on how Arnor are actually going to perform. Of course, it's matchup dependent. All GT's games are. You only ever have good versus evil, so I know that I'm going to be fighting probably orcs or uruks, or I don't have to worry about coming up against elves or dwarves or anything like that with this Arnor. So it does mean I can kind of build on that a little bit and manoeuvre that way a little bit. The model count for this army list is pretty high. It's 43. Now cavalry, and to be fair, I could have got more models in here because the cavalry coming in at 15 points are worth just under what 2 warriors of Arnor would be. So if I didn't have this many cavalry, I could have twice as many more warriors of Arnor. But that's not conducive to getting an army done in time. Don't have more models. Plus, if you've got 12 cavalry, you want to do those epic cavalry charges, right? So it's going to be quite hard to break, particularly seeing as everything, I think, bar Malbeth in the army is defense 6. So your strength 3 warriors are going to need 6s. Bows, again, unless you're fighting against crossbows, will need 6s. But even then, the strength 4 stuff's will need on 5. So they've got a little bit more stay power. No shield ball, no nothing like that, because unfortunately, big old shields don't get shield ball. But I suppose I can't have everything, can I? My favourite thing about this list is it has a lot of control over priority, and I wanted to double down on this a little bit because the worst thing about having cavalry armies or huge cavalry forces within your army is if you're lucky enough to get that first charge off, and then if you happen to roll bad on priority, even if you heroic move to counter anything that happens and you lose that momentum on kind of doubling down on a charge, then your cavalry have a bad time, a really bad time really quickly. Cavalry need to either get in and get out or get in and keep pushing the advantage. Particularly if you've got war spears, as all 12 of my knights have war spears, so you're looking at a +1 to wound, +2 if you're coming up against Angmar, but I'll go into special rules in a minute. But what the Arnor stuff have, we have the Seeing Stones. So this basically means that once per game, before you roll for priority, I can just take priority. I can just say, I'm having it, don't need to roll. Which is going to be really good for the turn at which I'm able to get these cavalry charges off. Then I can double down that momentum, say I'm taking priority, and just continue the 12 knight charge, or whoever's survived at that point, into whatever's still standing after that. And it means that they keep their bit of effectiveness. They still keep their 2 attacks on the charge, they're knocking down, they're getting their bonus for war spears. So hopefully it's going to keep that cavalry charge momentum kind of pushing through. Also, Malbeth, who gives foresight points at the start of the game, could be 1, could be 6. It's totally dice dependent. Means that I then have even more agency over future priority rolls, because foresight points you can use to increase your dice roll to try and win the priority. So Between the Seeing Stone's army special rule and Malbeth's foresight points, and a little bit of luck, I am optimistic that the cavalry can continue doing what cavalry should be doing and shouldn't get bogged down too much. But now I've said that, every game you're going to see all 12 cavalry die, aren't you? I think the only thing that it's really going to struggle up against is the big, like, enemy heroes. It hasn't got a great deal of magic resilience. It's got fairly small tier heroes, quite cheap. I think the most expensive model in my army is Arvidry, and he is 80 points, and he's my general. Ironically, also my killing machine. So I'm going to be reluctant to be throwing him in against anything big, trolls or anything like that. I feel like the list could deal with Cave Trolls, it can deal with Mordor Trolls. Anything bigger than that, like, I think even the heroes like Lurtz, and like the Witch King itself, like things like that, this army is going to struggle with. Werewolves could be a problem because my army is fight ready 4. So if werewolves get in and start tearing things apart, they're going to have a bad time. But generally speaking, the fight ready 4 is going to put them either on par or above most evil things. But big monsters, big hitty things are going to make this army have a bit of a bad time, particularly the heroes. And I'm not willing to just throw Arvidry in there willy-nilly to try and get these big things down. So if I lose my general, I've lost my points. But saying that, Malbeth does give you a 1 in 3 chance to keep every Arnor warrior within 6 alive on a 5+ if they take a wound, which is also up to a 4+ for heroes. So Argadir, Malbeth himself, and Arvidry will be rolling a 4, 5, or 6 for his basically just don't die rule. For those of you who don't know, Arnor, Malbeth, I forget the name of the actual rule, but he gets to roll a dice for any model that suffers a wound within 6 on a 5+. That wound is negated. It's effectively a free fate point within 6 of Malbeth. But for heroes in this list, it is a 4, 5, or 6. So the last special rule they have is the Defend the King, which is really handy seeing as Arnor Warrior Courage is abysmal. I think it's Courage 8, which is terrible. But friendly Arnor within 6 of King Arvidry get to automatically pass any courage tests are required to take, whether that's for breaking, charging terrifying enemies, or anything else. They'll be stand fast and brave within 6 inches of their king. So I feel like there's quite a lot of fun to have with the Arnor list. It's going to look really striking on the board. I'm really happy with how the greens come out against that silver. And I feel like particularly when I come up against any Angmar lists, and because you know it's good versus evil, and Angmar encompasses so many army lists in the game now, you're generally always finding half a dozen people that are taking Angmar, and if I can draw them, it means everything's on a +1 to wound, because Arnor don't like Angmar. It says so. It says hatred Angmar. I can't help that. So I'm optimistic about the Arnor side. I'm less optimistic about my Witch King side, mainly because I haven't run a Witch King or a Ring Wraith in years. I forget what they do. I forget the best way to run them. I like to run my Ring Wraith in and hope it kills things. They don't. They don't. This variant might, but they don't. But let's just have a bit of a refresher on the host of the Witch King, which is the army I'll be taking up with my Arnor. It comes in at 692 points. There's a bit of flexibility there to try and fill in those last 8 points. I'm going to have to work out a little bit because there's 2 matched out warbands here and might be a bit iffy. We're only looking at 35 models because the Witch King is super expensive and werewolves are not cheap either. So the model count does kind of suffer there as a result of that, particularly when compared to Arnor. It's quite funny on my display board. You've got the fall of Arnor, who have got more models fighting against the host of the Witch King, which looks like a smattering of orcs and Khardom on the board comparatively. So we've taken some creative license and done some spooky fun things there, but you'll see that all in good time. But yes, we have 6 marked across the board. We have the Witch King of Angmar, of course. He is leading 1 banner bearer, 2 werewolves, 2 spectres to make use of the army special rule that gives orcs terror when they're within 3 inches of a friendly spectre or spirit model. This counts for the Witch King as well as the 2 spectres, and they're just cool models. Had to have something ghosty on the board with the Witch King there. And he is accompanied again by 7 more orc shieldmen and 6 spearmen. And alongside that, we have the wonderful looking models, the Khardom models. We have got Aldrak, Warlord of Khardom, a stunning model, and someone who I'm really hoping is going to be a huge powerhouse on the board. He's also accompanied by 2 werewolves because I just like the look of them. They're great, they're fun little shock units. You can send them around the outside, and hopefully if the enemy's focusing on them, they're not focusing on the squishier orcs and men of Khardom. He has got a banner and 12 more warriors of Khardom. The special rules for this army are pretty fun. Obviously, I've already touched on the orcs causing terror within 3 of a friendly spirit, which hopefully lets me dictate charges a little bit and keeps the orcs a little bit safer, particularly if I spread the spectres and the Witch King out throughout the ranks. Should cover most bases. We have the Lord of the Nazgul, so obviously when a Ring Wraith is involved in combat, after that combat's resolved, providing the Ring Wraith hasn't died, they lose a point of will, and when a ring wraith hits 0 will, they poof, they vanish, they're gone. The Witch King, however, does not lose a point of will in a fight if he wins. So I can be a little bit more cavalier with him. He doesn't mind so much by getting into combat because he's the Witch King. He's got 3 attacks. He's a fairly high fight value. He's got a good chance of winning fights against lower tier heroes and rank and file. So hopefully I can keep some momentum up there, and we can just kind of use him as a little bit more of a battering ram whilst casting whatever spells I remember to cast, and he won't be losing will points left, right, and centre there. Helps him go a little bit longer. So, and then we have no man can kill me. Whilst engaged in combat with an enemy model, the Witch King gains a bonus of +1 to his fight value, which then brings him up to the likes of Aragorn, Boromir, Imrahil, who we're probably going to see because, no, my luck, I'll be fighting all 3 of those all weekend. So he then go toe to toe with them a little bit more, brings him up to the same kind of level, and then we're looking at the heroic strikes to make a difference there. And if he can get a cheeky little Morgul blade wound through, I spent 10 points on that Morgul blade. If we can jab that Morgul blade in there, you never know. Stranger things have happened. You could kill Aragorn in one go. Just saying, it's possible. I've seen it happen to a Smaug. But my thoughts on the Angmar list? I mean, orcs are just really bad. I don't necessarily like taking orcs. I wish I could take more Khandum, but I can only have, I think, 50% of the list with the Khandum keyword in this, which is fair enough because it's meant to be an all-encompassing Angmar list. Hopefully the terror, like I say, from the spirits and the special rule there will mean that the orcs don't necessarily just get charged all the time. They've got a bit more agency over where they can control the charges. But most good things seem to be quite high and quite decent at courage, apart from Arnor, apparently. Courage 8. But I'm hoping that the Khandum, as a response to that, can really kind of plough through. Their strength 4, yeah, their defense is quite low. The defense is quite low across the board in the entirety here. I think average defense 5 outside of the Witch King. So they're going to be taking wounds, they're going to be taking hits, but fight value 4 Khandum, strength 4 Khandum, they can put the hurt back out again a little bit, and I'm going to want to keep the momentum with Aldrak running forward, because if he kills a model in combat, he gets a free heroic combat the next turn, so he as well can start just kind of ploughing through with that massive, huge mace axe thing that he's got. Hopefully make a difference. And like I said, the werewolves are going to be great for like shock tactics. They're 10-inch move, I think. They've got fell sight, so they don't really care about seeing you to charge. They can just run around and kind of intercept things or get in the way of cavalry charges that are ploughing towards your orcs. Like, they're going to be the shock units that, yeah, they're going to die. They're going to die. They are 100 points worth of please don't hit anything else in my list. And if anyone at GT is watching this, I end up playing. Don't hit the rest of my list, please. Yeah, so I'm hoping it will do well. It takes a little bit more finesse to kind of work out the Angmar list. And again, I have to be a bit more careful. I can't be quite so cavalier as 280 points plus Aldrak. So actually 400 points is taken up in my werewolves and my 2 heroes. I've never actually done that maths. That's awful. I mean, I considered taking things like barrel whites and smaller Spectre units and really kind of doubling down on the spirit things, but the Khandum models are so cool, and now I want to do a Khandum army with hill trolls. That means I want to do Birders Horde with more hill trolls and more orcs, and it all comes full circle, and my wallet is continuously sad, and I am just adding more stuff to my pile of grey shame. Where did I go just then? Oh boy. Yeah, so I'm kind of working out, like, it's done fairly well in test games so far. Whether that's just been luck of the dice, or that's been me actually managing to get some kind of tactical play out of it, probably not. But I'm a little bit less optimistic, because when things start dying in this Angmar list, things will start going down really hard and really fast. But we'll see how we go. But those are the 2 lists. That is the plan for GT. Those are the rules I've got and the thoughts I've got on my lists so far. Let me know what you think. Have I made good choices? Have I made bad choices? How would you make your Arnor list? How would you make your Angmar list? I want to hear all your thoughts and all your feedback. And I will see you in the next little update we do, where I'll show off my finished armies and hopefully finished display boards, so you can see them before we go up to GT. And until next time, guys, take care, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.